And what I would really question here is the mule gets a little uncomfortable, and it doesn't take much for the mule to get off balance. And then the rider maybe gets tight. Cheryl's a good rider, so I wouldn't say that she panicked or anything. But if she got a little bit tight just because unknowing of what the mule's going to do, or maybe got a little too much weight in one stirrup or the other, forward or back, then the mule would question if it's, she's gonna inhibit the mule's balance. And it doesn't take any more than that. A little more weight on the front end, a little more weight on one stirrup for the mule to kind of be concerned about their balance, and they get scared. And she's riding the mule in the hackamore, which is maybe not the best tool to deal, especially with a mule in a bolting issue. Maybe a snaffle bit, maybe a little more groundwork, which, as Cheryl knows, I helped her with here just recently at a clinic in Montana. But what I see here is the mule definitely needs more work on the doubling or the groundwork. But once they bolt once, it might take 10, it might take 100 experiences to build enough confidence in that horse to kind of balance out one bad experience. So anyway, let's go ahead and watch, but you'll see this mule getting tight and kind of getting lost. It's not tracking the hot heels anymore. See, she's pulling, her weight is on the inside there, which that horse, the mule rather, it puts the mule off balance when your weight's on the inside, trying to bring them in underneath you. So this is a very, very common thing, riding young colts. And this mule's, not that Cheryl's a big person, but this mule's a pretty small animal. I don't know, 900 pounds maybe. So the weight ratio makes a difference. If that was a 1,400 pound mule, the problem might still be there, but it wouldn't be as easy as a mule nearly half that size. So you got a comment? She mentions the PTSD.
Here's what I want to look at. So Cheryl, the mule is a motor sensory creature. The horse is a motor sensory creature. So that's how most, so there are things that happen in the horse or the mule's body. Things we can't even see necessarily that they feel. Actually, in the book about humans, but there's a ton of mammalian research in Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's book, The Body Keeps the Score. So there are these little spots, and that's kind of the closest to what you were describing as PTSD, little oh no spots that you have to kind of work around. And here's the way things work. If you see the stimuli coming in the bottom, up to the sensory area, the thalamus, which is going to process it, most of the information, 90% of the information goes through the motor system just like it should. So your mule does exactly what you think it should do. But a very small amount of information can travel very fast and override that. If it's a little sticking point in there, that will take the low road and go to the amygdala, which will create this self-preservation reaction. And so what Martin was saying, you might have to go, once they bolt, you might have to go again and again, because you've got a short circuit in there. You might, and you're not going to be able to necessarily predict, because it's what your horse or mule is feeling. You'll have to really sense what they're feeling right before this happens, rather than almost see it. So something's going on in there that triggers response, that every time it hits on that response, bolting is the best way to get out of there. So we've got to really replace that and create new circuitry. But just being highly aware that you can go that you could take the high road again and again and again, and something leaning one way versus another, touching the horse with the spur, something in your balance that spooks them, and just enough information travels to the amygdala, and the amygdala throws the emergency alarm. Your task really is to find that oh no spot and keep trying to take the high road and slowing down enough. So it's what they used to say, you know, knowing what happens before what happens, which is not always easy to observe, but feeling what's in your horse's body. So you got that little short circuit in there. That's what that looks like to me.